Hey guys, it's Julia from Square Crafts. Today I'm on the TheAlleyWayStamps channel sharing a really quick and easy project that will be perfect for the upcoming holidays to spread a little holiday cheer. So I'm working on two pieces of watercolor paper. These pieces are cut to 3 inches by 6 inches, and I am going to create 2 wine bottle tags just in time for the holidays. To begin, I'm going to stamp the season's greeting sentiment from the TheAlleyWayStamps Mistletoe Kisses stamp set onto the bottom of each of my tags. I'm using Versamark ink today for all of my stamping because I plan to do quite a bit of heat embossing as I go along. I wanted to have these tags ready to go on a moment's notice. I also wanted to create a project that would be really easy for you guys to replicate in case you're in a pinch and you really need something quick for some unexpected drop-ins, or someone calls you up around the holidays for a quick visit. It's always nice to bring a little something. So these tags probably took, 10 to 15 minutes of real life time. I think that we can all put aside just a little bit of time during the holidays. If something comes up, I think this is a project that you would be able to recreate. So I heat embossed that greeting using black embossing powder. It was the Superfine Detail embossing powder. And if I were going to redo this project, I would have definitely stamped those greetings in a black ink and embossed in clear. The reason I say that is because that I find that I just never get a really good crisp impression with my black embossing powder. I don't know if it's just my embossing powder or what, but it seems to leave quite a bit of a mess over my project. So in this case, it didn't really matter because I'm going to cover it up. But if you were going to replicate it, I would say use a Versamark ink and then heat emboss with clear. Anyways, I've moved on. I'm stamping the poinsettia stamp from the Mistletoe Kisses stamp set. This is the same one from the TheAlleyWayStamps that the greeting came from. And then I'm using Superfine gold embossing powder to sprinkle on over the poinsettias. I wanted to create something festive, so I thought that the gold would be kind of fun and pretty. I like to sprinkle on the embossing powder as I go along, so I stamp a few images and then sprinkle the powder. You'll see why in just a minute, because I didn't do that, as you can see here, and I did make a mistake. I'll show you how I fixed that later, and I'll also show you the mistake when I get to it. So I started with the round Christmas ornament that comes in that same Mistletoe Kisses stamp set. I really love this stamp set for the holidays. It has a lot of small, fun images that are great to make a variety of different projects. I think it would be even fun to use these stamps to maybe create your own wrapping paper and matching tags. So maybe stay tuned for that in the weeks to come. So next I took the other ornament that comes in the same stamp set, and I'm just going to continue to stamp this along. Now I should have been sprinkling my embossing powder all along, because as you can see, I just overlap my stamping. When I sprinkle on the embossing powder, it will become really obvious, but I'll show you how I fix that. I am going to add some color to the background of this panel, so in the end it didn't turn out to be a huge deal. Also, if I had used a clear embossing powder, it wouldn't have shown up at all. You can see all I do is use a clean paintbrush to brush away that extra embossing powder over that overlap stamp, and then I can heat set like normal. You can see that there is a little bit of a ghost image there of the second stamp. When I cover it up with the ink, you really can't see it at all, and then I will add another detail later that masks it even more. So I'm using my mini blending tool and distress ink. In this case, I'm using Fired Brick distress ink. I wanted a really nice red color to go with the gold. So I'm just applying that all over the tag. If you have trouble blending distress ink, I highly recommend that you try doing it on watercolor paper. It's something that I personally don't do very often. I think mostly because I kind of hoard my watercolor paper, like I'm a bit afraid to use it, so I don't often use it for full panels, but it just blends so smoothly. I think the tooth of the paper, or like the texture of the paper, really helps grab onto that ink and smooth it out. So you get a really beautiful smooth finish. For my second tag, I used Mode Lawn Distressing, and I just continue to blend that over the whole surface of the tag. You can see that my little ghosty mistake there on the bottom right side of my ornament tag. You can sort of see it. I think that when you use these tags that no one would even notice, especially if you didn't point it out. And it is just a wine bottle tag. This probably isn't something that someone's going to hold on to for very long. So I feel comfortable just continuing with the project and using it as is. For my final detail with the distressing, I added some clean water and I'm going to just sprinkle that on. Once I see the color starting to rise onto the water, I'll just dab that off. I felt like it needed a second coat, so I just went back and did it again, and you can see that bleaching effect due to the distressing reacting to that water. While my tags are drying here, I went ahead and rounded all four corners of each tag with a quarter-inch corner rounder. As a final detail on the card, I really felt like it needed something to pull the whole thing together. I am very generously coating the full tag with my anti-static bag, and then I'm going to use a well-loved Versamark ink pad. I typically use a sort of like not as new ink pad for when I'm doing techniques like this where I might damage the ink pad a little bit. I keep one to the side where I just re-ink it periodically. It's kind of stained, it's not perfect. And then I keep another one handy for when I'm doing stamping and I want a really perfect ink pad. I just ran that pad all along the edges of my tag, and then I'm using the same superfine gold embossing powder all around the edges of that tag. I'll heat set that and then move on. I keep a Swiffer cloth handy on my craft desk pretty much all the time. I really like it for picking up the residue from the anti-static bag as well as any stray embossing powder that may be on my work surface or left on my project. I need to create a crease for these tags so that they'll fit over my wine bottles. So I'm going to use my mini Martha Stewart scoring board to score at 2.5 inches to create the fold. I could have done this at the very beginning of the project, but I didn't want any of the distressing to get caught in that groove and create a more obvious line, so I waited to the end. That's entirely up to you. It probably wouldn't make a big difference in the end after all anyway. The final detail is, of course, to punch a hole in the top of the tag. I used a 1.5 inch punch. If you didn't have a punch, you could very easily use a circle die or your silhouette machine, or even cut that by hand. It really doesn't need to be perfect. You can see here how my tags fit perfectly onto a bottle of wine, and those will be ready just to grab for a last minute outing around the holidays. I think that they'll help spread the holiday cheer. That's it for today. Thank you so much for tuning into this video. I will be back again on the TheAlleyWayStamps YouTube channel next week to share another holiday project. In the meantime, take care and have a great week. Bye!